And Town Board, you're live.
Good morning and welcome to the October 19th regular meeting of the East Hampton Town Board. Carol, would you please read the roll call?
Councilmember Burke Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilmember Lees.
Present.
Councilmember Overby.
Here.
Councilmember Rogers. Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Present. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today we have 3 public hearings, which will be followed by a public portion where any member of the public may address the board on any topic. We ask that you please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and then the town board will have resolutions to offer. Carol, would you please read the COVID disclosure and the first public hearing notice?
The public hearings will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV channel 22 and available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person, by agent, by attorney, and by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk by email to cbrennan@ehamptony.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk by the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website for any changes for updated information. Please take notice that a public hearing shall be held on October 19th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, to hear any and all persons with regard to proposed local law for amendments to Chapter 102, Building Construction of the East Hampton Town Code entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 102, Building Construction, Article 1, Building Construction related to the New York Stretch Energy Code 2020 supplement of the Energy Conservation Construction Code of the New York State. This legislation is amend provisions related to the home energy rating system requirements for new construction and substantial reconstruction within the town in order to reduce energy usage and provide for more efficient home construction standards.
Do you want to read the
definition?
I'm sorry?
Do you want the definition read too?
No, that's right. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board?
I'm sorry, which hearing?
102, chapter 103.
First public hearing, Chapter 102, Building Construction, Article 1.
No.
New York Stretch Energy Code.
Nope.
Do we have any callers on the line?
Did she read the notice?
Yes.
We do have one caller on the line. Give me 1 second.
Would you ask if they want to address the board on this particular topic, please?
Caller 9876. Would you like to address the board on this topic?
Oh, good morning. I'm looking for number 2 on the wireless telecommunications.
Thank you very much. We will return to you when that public hearing is being discussed. Is there anyone else?
No other callers on the line.
I'll entertain a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Carol, if you read the second hearing notice, please.
Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, October 19th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all persons regarding a draft wireless telecommunications master plan, the plan, a copy of which is available for review at the town clerk's office or online.
Thank you, Carol. We have with us today our former planner, Eric Chance, who's now the Department of Housing, but worked all through the process of developing the draft wireless telecommunications plan. He will give us a brief overview.
Sure. So we view this in large part as, I don't know, the culmination, because with anything, there's ongoing work, but probably the last big step in updating the town's code and regulations with regard to wireless facilities. The town has already overhauled the entire town code with the help of Cityscape, our wireless consulting firm. And as you know, has formulated a wireless master plan, which is the subject of this public hearing. There was already one public hearing to solicit comments from the public. We received one comment on the plan. So the plan moving forward would be to hold this public hearing, hear what the public has to say if there are other comments. If the plan needs further revision, we will go back to Cityscape and have that done. But in the absence of that, we feel that we have a final plan for the board to consider, and then we will do the final steps to have it adopted. Again, this is a very comprehensive plan that covers basically everything wireless for the town. It has impacts on the planning board, the town code, the town board. So we're hoping that this will be adopted. This is a big step to modernizing town regulations with regard to wireless. So with that, I will hear from the public and we'll take necessary steps as we advance forward.
Thank you very much, Eric. We have anyone who wishes to address the board on this topic? Mr. Buda?
Good morning, David Buda from the Springs. I just want to discuss one aspect of it that perhaps wasn't made clear in some of the newspaper accounts of the wireless master plan. Almost all of the suggested needed new macro wireless facilities are what are described as being relatively short, 100 feet in height. A 100-foot macro tower, where it's needed, can provide antenna mounting heights at 100 feet above ground level, 90 feet, and 80 feet. Now, we used to have 4 major wireless carriers. Fortunately, 2 of them combined, T-Mobile and Sprint, and then I thought we'd only have 3. Now, all of a sudden, we have something called Boost Mobile, or goes by another name as well, wanting to get onto some of the town towers, so creating perhaps an unnecessary need for a 4th level of private carriers on a particular tower. It's not clear to me why any and all new macro towers shouldn't be of this relatively short height. Any further need to fill gaps for existing bona fide gaps can and should be done through the other method, the small cell method. The small cells are erected, as you know, on either existing or new utility poles, typically only a height of 35 feet, although the maximum that they're allowed to be is 50 feet. The best example for most people that many people see is as you travel to Montauk to play pickleball at the Playhouse, you see all of the new small cell sites that have popped up on the state highway and even in Montauk. They do the job. Yes, they only have a radius of maybe 500 feet in each direction, but they're not offensive. And in this world, it's necessary. So I just would like you to perhaps strengthen and emphasize that wherever possible, any macro tower that needs to be erected should be no more than 100 feet in height. The other thing I'd like to mention is that once this is adopted, and I'm sure it will be adopted, the appendix, which includes a compendium of all of the existing sites, needs to be maintained and updated on a regular basis, perhaps by the planning department, because much of the information in this June document is already out of date because so many sites are changing and building new and have changed since June of this year even. So it really is useful for the public to know which carriers are in which locations and what type of facilities there are, and particularly as new facilities are added. But this document, this draft document, at least it's the most recent one that was referred to in the public notice dated June 1st, 2023. Many of the items in the appendix are already out of date and need to be updated. So the question is, since I probably should delegate that responsibility to either the cityscape or to the planning department, so it's done on a regular basis, and it's always a living document that can be a useful basis for people to know what carriers provide what type of service in what locations in the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Anyone else wish to address the board on the wireless master plan? Do we have any caller? We do, I believe, have a caller on the line who wanted to address this topic.
We do. Opening them right now. Caller 9876, you are on the line.
Hello, good morning. My name is Gregory Vayotis, and I just had a few questions for the board regarding the master plan. One of them regarding small cells and their distance to how close they can be placed to residents. If someone would like to elaborate on that, about how close they can be to residents and their effects and how great they can be for improving town coverage, especially in hard to reach neighborhoods.
So that's governed by the location of the right-of-way. Utility poles are generally the sites for small cell, and the ability of small cell to close coverage gaps relates to a number of things. Obviously, proximity to who's receiving it, the height, which is, as previously stated by a speaker, is roughly 50 to 55 feet, and tree coverage. All of that affects, the ability of small cell to really fill in those gaps. So depending upon how far a residence might be from the right-of-way is really the answer to that question.
Okay. And another question I have is, will there be a generic small cell design made up, or has there one been already approved, as many different carriers have their own implementations? Making a generic, easy-to-use plan for carriers might be able to speed up the process of planning and zoning.
So the question is,
or has that been thought of?
Yes, the question is, has there been a generic design for small cell antenna placement? There are a number of different potential options. Sometimes they're actually shielded and enclosed within a lamp pole. They could be placed on top of a utility pole, as the ones that we most currently see, like on the state highway. Those antennas are simply placed on the top of a utility pole. There are different ways to disguise them, but I don't believe we've designated a specific type of situation, and so we've left the flexibility to disguise them depending on where they're proposed or not.
Okay. Okay. And then my final question is regarding the GATR site in the East Hampton document for the wireless plan. It says existing wood pole to be replaced with monopole. Is that being replaced with a cellular monopole, or are they just changing the pole itself to continue its existing town of East Hampton, what's it called? I'm sorry, town of East Hampton, the emergency communication system, right?
I'm afraid I didn't hear which site.
Gator site.
The Gator site. So the Gator site is on a county property. It is somewhat restricted by the historic location, and I believe the height has to be at 80 feet or below. And I'm afraid I didn't hear what the rest of the question was about the Gator site.
So wood poles are being
I'm sorry.
replaced?
Yeah, the wood poles were,
replaced with like
yeah, I believe they're with a steel pole, which is, I believe, also going to be painted brown, but I'm not sure. No, not brown. I see Eric is shaking his head on that.
We don't have that.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure of the specific proposal for that site. It is a county property. It historically has been out of the realm of review for the planning board. That I suppose is a question as to whether or not they're exempt from review. But that being said, there is no site plan in to the planning board at this time, so we don't really know what exactly they'll be proposing there.
The other factor involved with the Gator site is it's within a certain distance of the Montauk Airport, and therefore it has to comply with certain FAA regulations with regard to towers. So
Yep.
we really have no direct ability to influence that particular location.
Yeah, for sure, and up on the hill there. So
Berger, I
If
hope
there's
that-
no further questions, I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much for calling in today. Do we have anyone else on the line who would like to address the board regarding the wireless master plan?
No other callers on the line.
Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to address the board? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a
Please come
question.
to the podium and
Oh, sure.
introduce yourself. And again, this is a public hearing for the wireless master plan.
Stephen Adler. I'm not sure this is in the master plan, but when I was at the recycling center last week, they were doing some additions to the monopole that was there. And, you know, I live right off Acabonic Road on Bonnet Woods Lane. And I was getting 4 bars to 1 block away from my street. So is that site going to be lit up for wireless service? Does anyone know?
That monopole is currently broadcasting wireless communication.
For which networks, do you know?
I believe is AT&T tower
And Verizon.
yeah,
and Verizon are both on that tower, but
I mean, even when I'm at the recycling center, I get 1 bar, so I'm not sure it's really lit up.
Tall.
What? I'm too close?
It's too tall.
Too tall. So what is supposed to be the range?
So with the 5G plans, a lot of 5G won't actually go out as far compared to 4G. So that's why there needs to be more of a network of coverage for 5G, which was where wireless plans are moving towards right now. So that's why they have to infill either with small cell technology. That site is getting taller because areas where it was on Optimum or the Cablevision tower, the Lattice tower, are switching over there. So that's why that one's increasing in height right now.
And the Optimum Tower on the corner of Abrams Path and Springs Fireplace, 3 Mile?
they have a
Oh,
plan.
Springs Fireplace.
Yeah,
Is that
Springs Fireplace and Abrams.
Is that going to be converted to one of AT&T or Verizon, or they're going to take it over?
As I understand it, Altice is planning on doing a drop and swap, which is they're going to replace the existing Lattice tower with the new tower due to the fact of its age. And as far as they own that privately, so that it's up to them to actually contract with any carriers that might be placed on that tower. Obviously, we are encouraging cellular communications to be placed on any such opportunity site to close communication gaps that we have in the community. But that is really outside our direct purview as to requiring them to provide those services.
And is there a timeline for any of these things to be implemented?
Well, from the town board's standpoint, ASAP.
And then do you have any power to say to AT&T, you know, let's get this done after 30 years?
I would say our power is through encouragement and outreach, and that has to come after this wireless master plan is adopted.
And I think it's also important for, residents who have a particular carrier to reach directly out to their carrier, because we don't provide those services to
No,
the
I know
public.
that.
Well, a lot of people are surprisingly don't realize that. And so to the degree that we can help facilitate better coverage, we're doing so. But ultimately, that ability and responsibility falls upon the carriers themselves.
And one last thing, off Accabonac, where the town put in the solar panels, has anybody looked at that as a site for a tower?
We've actually looked townwide, every town-owned parcel, every place that would allow for coverage to be improved. We've done a very comprehensive search, and that's reflected in the wireless master plan. And those locations that have been identified that would help improve and basically fill all the gaps in coverage are in the master plan.
So once you find a site that the town thinks might be applicable to putting up a tower, who goes to the next step? AT&T doesn't put up the tower, a private company does, like Tower.
They put up towers, they contract with others to put up towers. There are companies that put up towers and then try to entice carriers to come onto their towers. So basically what we've done here is to identify coverage gaps and opportunities to fill those gaps and identify also capacity issues. And that's a roadmap basically for those providers now.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question if I may.
Sure, David, come on back up.
Thank you for a second bite at the apple. I didn't read the document word for word, every word, but I didn't notice any mention of another avenue for supplying 5G connectivity. So as I think we all know, several years ago, Optimum, Altice, put wires, fiber optic throughout most of the town, especially in the Springs, our area, we saw them working. The fiber optic is to provide internet service to the home by fiber optic. But at the same time, I believe they've put some kind of devices on many wires, little boxes, which I believe are probably designed to propagate 5G signals. And if that's the case, then why isn't there some move to have that? I'm not a fan of monopolies, but obviously Optimum has the monopoly in this town for providing internet service. If they have the means to provide 5G cell phone service by virtue of their fiber optic town-wide network, why isn't that being promoted and being utilized as a means for providing better private cell phone communication service? If that's in fact what those boxes are, and if those can act as a small site for propagating 5G service, why isn't that even mentioned? At least I couldn't find it in this document.
Thank you. Jeremy, you want to respond to that?
So hi, Jeremy Samuelson, Planning Director. I think David asked a really interesting question about the extent to which we can rely on one of the three tiers. The way this is broken up is tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 3 being the big macro towers, and the other smaller stuff, such as what David's referring to is in tier 1. The point is, you need all three. Essentially, we asked a version of this question of the engineers at Cityscape, and even went a step further and said, well, what about a temporary deployment on a seasonal basis of something like these cows, the cell on wheels that helped us through the COVID period when there was one down at Gann Road and over on Stephen Hans Path? And the short answer is, even if you deploy heavily in either column 1, 2, or 3, it doesn't actually give you a genuine network, and you still need minimum infrastructure in the other 2 columns. So even if I'll give you a very simple example that was shared with us when we asked a versionist question to the engineers at Cityscape. Even if we had full build out and full connectivity to the maximum extent possible through fiber optic, as you described, somebody who's in their boat 200 yards offshore isn't going to get a signal from that service. And our goal, as described in this plan, is to have complete coverage throughout the town. So there are 2 pieces here. There's coverage and capacity. So you can have coverage, but if you don't have enough, if the straw isn't big enough to get everybody's signal through simultaneously, then you've checked one box in coverage, but you haven't achieved your goal of capacity in the second box. So the short answer to a very insightful question here is you need to build out the network across all 3 tiers in order to actually achieve the goal of having coverage throughout the town.
So if I'm understanding correctly, I was told that when Altice put in fiber optics, they only put it in neighborhoods where there were overhead lines. They didn't put it in neighborhoods where the lines are buried. So it's not town-wide, is my understanding. I also was channel surfing and watched the planning board meeting when Cityscape was giving the presentation, because the planning board also reviewed the wireless master plan. And I believe Susan from Cityscape said that, like, once we get this, buttoned up and adopted, that their recommendation was that we do a fiber optic master plan.
Correct.
So
that might be the next step, David.
Thank you, David and Jeremy. Anyone else wish to address the board who's online? Do we have any callers on?
No callers.
I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Carol, if you please read the last hearing notice for today.
Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing pursuant to section 352 of the general municipal law of the state of New York on October 19th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard in the town hall meeting room, town hall 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, to consider the town's continued lease of space at the town airport to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, for purposes of providing space for a location of equipment, the maintenance of which is in the public interest and a benefit to both parties. Said lease to be for a term of 15 years ending September 30th, 2038. Such lease to be without cost to the FAA.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board on this topic? Do we have any callers on the line, Hudson?
No callers on the line.
I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close. Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. We'll now move on to the public portion where any member of the public may address the board on any topic. We ask again that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Mr. Buda, would you like to address the board?
Thanks, David. Thank you.
Good morning again, David Buda from the Springs. When I spoke at Tuesday's work session meeting to express my concerns about your nearly finalized plan for a massive, what I would consider to be industrial strength traffic oblong at the intersection of Stephen Hans Path, Long Lane, and 2 holes of Water Road, I came, unfortunately, without my prepared notes because, and as a result, I misspoke. I believe I referenced the affected state-designated scenic area of local significance as being known as hay ground. That was just a mistake. It's actually known as hard scrabble, but at least I got the first 2 letters of the name correct. Okay. I've handed out to you a copy of a document that you're probably all familiar with, may not have seen recently. It's the East Hampton Scenic Resources Protection Plan, which clearly outlines the hardscrabble scenic area of local significance. Though all those farms, open farm vistas that you can see from the surrounding areas, and that includes particularly the intersection of discussion. I doubt any of you are totally unaware of the scenic beauty of the spectacular views of the open farmland at Hardscrabble as one drives through the subject intersection. But I've handed out this copy of a page from your own documents, the East Hampton Scenic Resources Plan, to identify Hardscrabble specifically as that local scenic area of local significance. I realize that some of you may not accept everything I articulate at this podium as being the gospel. So I want to refer you to a letter to the editor to the East Hampton Star published today. The author describes her concern for the impact your overzealous traffic engineering plan would have on, quote, one of the last remaining rural vistas on the fringe of the village, end quote. And that, quote, the smaller details, like an intersection, end quote, is where, quote, a sense of place is often found or lost, end quote. The author of that letter is former supervisor Judith Hope. I again implore you to try the simple 4-stop sign alternative. I don't want to insult anyone, but some people refer to that as the KISS principle. Keep it simple. You know the rest. I've also now learned, although it wasn't mentioned in the recent discussions, that the highway superintendent, Steve Lynch, who we all admire and respect, had in the past endorsed a 4-stop sign solution. There really is no downside to that. If we can try it at little or no expense, you might need the county's consent to put a stop sign on Long Lane because it's the county road. But it can easily be reversed. It can easily be tried as a method of possibly saving a lot of money. The only thing you really risk losing is your pompous and misguided sense of infallibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David.
David, are you saying that this actually intersection is within the boundary of SAS based on the 2010 document?
It
Or is it
is,
outside the boundary?
it's right there, the intersection is right there.
Is it included in the SAS is the question, or is it
The
not?
line goes right through the intersection, so the answer is, I think so.
You think so? Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the intersection,
To your pump.
I'm looking at it right now. I think you can find it. Look just below that little thumb sticking out, go up to the next intersection to the north.
Yep.
It looks to me like the line goes right alongside, and whether you call the entirety of the intersection within or without, certainly it's on the edge, if not in this, within.
By the way, there is already a stop sign at Long Lane.
So then why don't we try the 4th stop sign?
There's only 2 there. There's one.
I'm sorry, there are 2.
One at Long Lane.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. So
you
you're right.
misstated.
I misspoke.
Two
You don't need county approval because that's there. It's the other 2
In fact,
roads.
they were replacing the stop sign this morning as I drove to work because the one that was there was faded.
Okay. All right, so you're right. Again, I misspoke. I should come with better notes. You only need to add 2 stop signs. So it's a 2 stop sign solution that you need to try.
Yes.
Add
And
2
so
to 2.
what would be the remedy if we put in a 4-way stop and we find that the light at 114 and Stephen Hands becomes gridlock because they can't move the traffic through
You
that-
remove it.
Okay, so now we've removed it after having people know that there's a 4-way stop and suddenly there's not. So the person at Long Lane thinks that the people on Stephen Hands are going to stop. They're not because the sign's been removed.
I've been through many intersections, sometimes state highways, where they have a little flashing sign for weeks before they make change and say, caution, change in traffic pattern ahead.
So we're going to add flashing signs to
For a few weeks.
to
For a few
protect the
weeks.
bucolic nature of.
For a few weeks.
All right, Dave. Thank you.
They're on wheels.
Appreciate your comment.
On wheels.
to that.
I've been called a lot of things in this position. I'm going to add pompous to it because I haven't been called that yet. So thank you, David.
It's not the people, it's the attitude.
Well, maybe it's just the attitude towards you, David.
Actually, it is the people that we're considering and that we're worried about their safety. So I believe it's the people.
And to add to Sylvia's comment, you know, we've been contacted by many people in our community who feel that this has become an extremely dangerous intersection. We don't want a stoplight there. We've had it looked at by traffic engineers, and given the traffic flow on those roadways, it's been determined that a four-way stop would create more trouble. And so we've looked at a more reasonable and efficient method of both calming traffic at that location as well as keeping it moving.
And we are concerned about keeping the character of the community in mind when, you know, when we do this. At least my comments were that on Tuesday. So again, I think we've made that clear to the engineers and to anyone that's going to build this.
Do we have anyone on the line who would like to address the town board?
No callers on the line?
We will then move on to resolutions. Kathy, I believe you have it first.
I do, starting with Resolution 2023-1357. It's approval of the warrant. Claims total $6,757,715.06, and the utility warrant total $66,581.49.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-1358 is a notice of public hearing for the 2024 preliminary budget. The hearing is set for November 2nd at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2023-1359 is a notice of public hearing to consider amending East Hampton Town Code, Chapter 95. The public hearing is set for Thursday, November 16th at 11 a.m., and the legislative intent is that the town board is seeking to ensure the safety of pedestrians and cyclists alike on the town sidewalks.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
1 second. 2023-1360 is for our Wellness 60 Plus program. It's yoga at the Montauk Playhouse with Michelle Diamore, and Michelle will be paid $50 for each class session for the remainder of the year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
1361 is to amend Resolution 2023-628, LK McLean Associates for the YMCA HVAC replacement. This is for construction administration services, and this is, McLean will get paid a lump sum not to exceed $5,000, and Nelson and Pope Engineering will be paid a lump sum not to exceed $12,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
1362 is to accept bid EH 23042. It's permits for the town clerk, goes to Montauk Printing, EOC Print LLC, and Concept Print.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
I'd like to offer Resolution 2023-1363. This is a notice of public hearing for CPF Water Quality Round 2, 2023 RFA Part 1, 8 through 9 awards. The awards that we'd be looking to bring to public hearing would be, potential awards would be project sponsor for Clearwater Beach Homeowners Association. The funding award is $63,446. Project sponsor B is Springs Presbyterian Church. Potential funding award is $322,200. Project sponsor C is Farrow Beach Incorporated. Potential funding award is $199,615. Project sponsor D was Springs General Store. Potential funding award is $109,639. Project sponsor E is Harbor Marina LLC. Potential funding award is $105,196. And project sponsor F is Cornell Cooperative Extension. Potential funding award is $198,000. Project sponsor G is New York State Center for Clean Water Technology. Potential funding on this is $112,101. And project sponsor H is the Village of Sag Harbor. Potential funding award is $1,033,600. $2,011. This public hearing will be also held on November 2nd, 2023 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's carried.
Resolution 2023-1364 is a notice of public hearing for CPF Water Quality Round 2 for 2023, and this is for one of 9 awards. And the project sponsor is 177 Main Street LLC, and the project funding award would be $100,500. And the public hearing again is on November 2nd, 2023 at 2 p.m.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please, Carol?
Councilmember Burke Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilmember Lees.
Recused.
Councilmember Overby.
Aye.
Supervisor Van Square.
Aye, that's carried.
I'd like to offer resolution 2023-1365. This is a scheduled public hearing for a real property acquisition and amend the 2023 management and stewardship plan. This is for the purported owner of Luis Bustamante and Victoria Bustamante, multiple locations, 12 South Flag Street, 29 North Verity Street, 26 North Verity Street, and 7 North Verity Street, South Franklin Street, South Essex Street, and South Field Street. Approximately 2.6 vacant acres of land. This is actually in the Montauk Hamlet. The proposed purchase price is $4.4 million. Public hearing again will be held on November 2nd, 2023 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
1366 is appoint part-time building maintenance manager and temporary department head Anthony Littman, retroactive to October 1st, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
1367 is promotion, provisional appointment to fleet service manager, God bless you, for Conrad Fisher in the highway department at an hourly rate of $34.58, grade 31, step 1. Which is $71,920.86 annually for a 40-hour work week, retroactive to October 6, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
1368 is accept bid EH23-037. This is for the Salt Barn Highway Department. This is for the Veritas Construction Company. And it is not, okay, so find out. We're accepting the total cost of $888,000, taking from one funding line in the amount of $131,900, the second funding line for $243,000, and another funding line for $512,700 for that amount for the Salt Barn Highway Department, acceptance of the bid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
1369 is accept the bid EH23-038. This is for the Gann Road pump out station improvements to Philip Ross Industries. The total amount is $191,000. What this will do also to the public and the town board, we have 2 pump out stations, one at Star Island and Montauk that was increased in size. This is our second pump out station at Gann Road to increase in size. Again, this is the town's initiative to continue to provide pump out stations for our boaters so that we have better clean water.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
1370 is accept bid EH23-040. This is for the second house sanitary upgrades. This goes to Keith Grimes Incorporated at a total accepted cost not to exceed $117,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
1371 is the accept bid EH23-044. This is for a pickup truck for the Marine Patrol from Otis Ford. It's a Ford, and the amount is $36,185, split between 2 funding lines.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
1372 is accept the proposal for Terry King's ball field septic upgrade design from proposals from LK McLean dated September 24, 2023, not to exceed $19,800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
1373 is accept proposal for the Montauk Police Station septic upgrade design, again from LK McLean Associates dated September 24th, 2023, not to exceed $21,200.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed, carried.
This is Resolution 2023-1374. This is amend Resolution 2023-429, which approved the application for capital funding from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York to the State Municipal Funding Program, which was sponsored by Assemblyman Fred Thiel, an amount of $250,000 for the Montauk Gateway Utility Project. We now want to reallocate the capital funding from this award, an amount of $250,000 for the Old Stone Highway Culvert Replacement Project over where Pussy's Pond meets Acaponic Harbor. Before we go there, this is a project that Peter took on. Anyone driving the Montauk and they see all the power lines down, it's opened up, it's become quite beautiful. It's finally complete, it's complete.
Yeah, that was a community effort. That's something that actually was a dream of John Keeshan's, who helped underground the lighting district for the downtown Montauk many years ago. His dream was to have the scenic highway undergrounded. That gained a lot of momentum and steam when you had some very generous individuals, Dan Cahill leading the charge to underground those lines over the majority of the old highway. There's still one more section left. And the conversation came to, what about the town property at the intersection of the old highway and the new highway? As you crest that hill, it was a mess of lines going every which way. So, we did our part, and I appreciate the support from the town board members to fund that and get that done. And the last time I was in Montauk, there was one pole left and one little wire, and I was like, wait, what are we waiting for? So
As of yesterday, coming and going, it's gone, and it's
really spectacular. It's amazing how you take for granted and don't really see those poles in the landscape, and then when they're gone, it feels relaxing. It's so beautiful. So glad to see that done, and I'm glad that John Keeshan will see that done as well.
Yeah,
Another scenic area.
This money to good use in Springs.
Absolutely, with that historic little bridge over the culvert.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
I have 1375. This is the waive the planning board extension of the time fee for the Fieldtown property.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
1376 is a memorandum of understanding with the Peconic Baykeeper. This is presented to the town board for their Project Rise at the September 19th work session, in which they're going to be putting up chronologue locations on a 2x4 post at 5 locations within the town of East Hampton.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-1377 is to schedule a public hearing for Eric Kean and Spencer grant of a scenic and conservation easement. Grantor is Dana Eric Kean and Jason Spencer. It's at 21 Fenwick Road in Montauk, and the reviewing agency is the Zoning Board of Appeals. The public hearing will be on Thursday, November 2nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2023-1378 is to schedule a public hearing for Silva grant of scenic and conservation easement. Again, that is on Thursday. The public hearing is on Thursday, November the 2nd at 2 p.m. This is, the grantor is Silva Development, Inc. It's a scenic and conservation easement. It's at 39 Bayview Avenue in Amagansett.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 1379 is for professional services and purchasing to amend Resolution 2023-1293. And this is for LK McLean and Associates, and is hereby engaged to provide engineering services to provide an ADA compliant design for the witness stand in the small courtroom as set forth in their proposal dated September the 8th, 2023, at a cost not to exceed $17,600.
Second, and this has been something the Disability Advisory Board has been lobbying for years. It's great news.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Resolution 1380 is training for Detective Luke McNamara. This is to authorize him to attend the New York State SP Crimes Against Children seminar sponsored by New York State Police Department, held in New York State Police Academy in Albany. And that is November 13th through November 17th at an amount not to exceed $1,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass carried. 1381, it's budget modification, various town departments. And containing the attached document, $37,567 for the following departments: the assessors, finance, ordinance, public safety, and recreation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried. 1382 is a budget modification for the airport, and that will be moving appropriated unreserved fund balance in the amount of $550,000 to outside professional in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 1383 is to establish a standard workday and reporting for newly elected, re-elected, and appointed officials, New York State local retirement system.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried. 1384 is to extend the agreement RFP EH 2019-104, professional auditing and accounting services for the town of East Hampton, Rocky Smith LLP. And there is an increase due to additional annual reporting requirements under GASB 87, and their fee must be increased to $105,000 for the fiscal year ending 2022. And that agreement will include if there's any additional services required, following rates in the resolution will be applied.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 1385 is to extend contract RFP EH 2020-107, airport advertising concession, Outfront Media LLC. And that is renewing the airport advertising concession to Outfront Media LLC for a period of 1 year, effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Resolution 1386 is to increase the cap for Cooley LLP outside airport counsel for 2023. And that is resolved. Said legal fees shall be paid out in the budget account from the airport outside professional in the amount not to exceed 1.8 million. I want to just make a comment about that. It is election season, and I hear on the radio an ad about the town board using taxpayer money for litigation at the airport. That is not the case. We are using from the airport fund revenues that are brought in from landing fees and leases only. There is no implication or impact on your property taxes as a result of litigation. The town is defending against airport interests that are seeking to keep us from being able to regulate our airport in a way that the community feels is appropriate. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Resolution is, the next one's you, Kathy?
Sure.
Additional
It's
resolution?
Resolution 2023-1387, it's approval of various special events for October and November. Body Tech Fitness is doing their 20th annual Serpent's Back Mountain Bike Duathlon on various roads: Hither Hill State Park, Rods Valley, Navy Road in Montauk on Sunday, October 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Springs Ashwa Hall and the Springs Food Pantry is doing the Chow Down fundraiser, and that is on Saturday, October 28th from 12 to 3. At the American Legion, the Kiwanis is holding their Kiwanis Annual Family Fun Day, and that's Sunday, October 29th from 11 to 4. Montauk School is having the annual Montauk School Halloween Parade, and that's on Tuesday, October 31st, 4 to 6 p.m. The Dock is having the Dock Run charity event, and that is November 12th from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The Montauk Point Lighthouse Museum is having their annual holiday lighting of the lighthouse, and that is on Saturday, November 25th from 4 to 8 p.m. And we also have an event date change due to weather, and Amber Waves Farm is having their October Feast fundraiser on Saturday, October 21st from 2 to 5 with a rain date of Sunday, October 22nd, which they may need.
Second.
Again.
Great, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
I have an additional resolution, ID number 30151. It's to retain historic preservation consultant Michael Devonshire. The ARB is retaining the services of Michael Devonshire, historic preservation consultant, to assist in its review of the proposed alterations to 177 Main Street in Amagansett. ARB is to provide such historic preservation consultant services to the ARB as set forth in his proposal dated October the 18th, at a cost not to exceed $1,260.
I'll second that. My discussion on this one is I would like to continue trying to find local architectural consultants that have a little bit more experience just in our local area full-time. And I know some of them might be either retiring, but I think we should continue the outreach, as this might be more of a need on there than to not taking away from Devonshire's history and work, but certain situations might take a little bit more of a year's approach of being in the area. So I second and I support the hiring, but I think we should outreach a little bit more as individuals that we might know are starting to retire.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
I'd like to make a resolution to go, make a motion to go into exec session to discuss CPF contracts and get advice of counsel.
Before you do that, though, just if the board's interested, since there were no comments at all with regard to the stretch code, if you wanted to adopt it today, I have a resolution for that. We do need to present that to the State Codes Committee for review as well. So we could do it now, or I could put it on for the next meeting.
Let's do it on the next meeting.
Okay. Just want to give you the options.
So I will second Kathy. Do
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Lastly, it is homecoming this weekend at Hampton High School. It might rain, but there still will be a game at 1 o'clock. Go Bonnick. All right. We go cheer on the boys, okay?
And I
the girls.
understand they'll do the fair in the cafeteria if it rains.
Let's go cheer on Bonnick.
Always fun.
Take care, safe everyone. Thank you, Hudson, LTV.